What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counter Punch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte. Dillian Whyte high on Holyfield. He says there's a case he won both fights against Lennox Lewis. Wow. Let's go on to see what he has to say verbatim. Whyte said Holyfield fought everyone. Whyte said correctly when praising Holyfield's career and achievements. He fought Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. He fought Michael Moore. He fought Riddick Bowe. Plus, he also fought George Foreman. Mike Tyson didn't even fight all those guys. He only fought Lennox Lewis, and he lost to Lennox Lewis. I believe in Evander Holyfield, there is a case saying that he won both fights against Lennox Lewis. Everything Whyte said, barring that final sentence, is bang on the money, Holyfield. Too small to be a heavyweight, according to critics back in the 1980s, early 90s. Overcame enormous odds and really did fight everyone. So of the two, Holyfield and Lewis, who should be placed higher when it comes to the greatest ever heavyweights, that's a tough one. Lennox did fight a past his prime Holyfield, and even then, he only just managed to beat him in the second fight anyway. Maybe you agree with Whyte and rank Holyfield as one of the true greats, even better than Lewis. Wow. Okay, well, Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte brought up some good points. Evander Holyfield has a better resume than Lennox Lewis, no doubt about it. Okay, they've both been stopped. They've both been defeated. Holyfield has more losses. Lennox Lewis has only lost twice, and in both of his losses, it's been to knockout. He has one draw against Holyfield in the fight where everyone, including Lennox Lewis, thought that was just a robbery, which it was. Because that was just a sure case of a bigger guy outboxing a smaller heavyweight, which Evander Holyfield was a smaller heavyweight. The only resistance I saw in that fight that I can remember in the first fight was Lennox Lewis when he pressed Lennox Lewis in the third round and tried to knock him out. I remember the Everlast gloves they had. Lennox Lewis had puncher's gloves. Holyfield had the padded glove for protection, for blocking, because he knew that he wasn't going to do much punching. He was going to try to counter Lennox Lewis out of there. It didn't work. Lennox Lewis, I think, could have been more aggressive in that first fight, but he, without a doubt, beat Evander Holyfield. Now, what Dillian Whyte's saying about the two fights, for one, the first fight, he's dead ass wrong. Okay, that was a robbery. What was it? Was it Regina Hill, I believe it was, that she scored, or no, Regina Lathan, or something like that. I forget her name, but she was an old scorer, and then they did investigation on her, and they found out she had large amounts, it was a large amount of money deposited in her account, like right after that fight. So that fight was totally off. Okay. And, the British fans were pissed. A lot of American fans were pissed. The commentators were scratching their head. They knew, without a doubt, they seen Lennox Lewis outpoint, out-jab, beat Evander Holyfield. Now, the funny thing about this is they got the second decision right in the second fight. However, the second fight was much, much more competitive than the first. Okay? And if you were going to call a draw, though, you would have called a draw in the second fight, because Holyfield really did put in a good effort. He was a smaller guy, but he fought Lennox Lewis. I just think he didn't do enough. I think he should have stayed in Lennox Lewis's chest, if he could get past that jab and that right hand, right? And rip punches to the body to slow Lennox Lewis down, and really took it to Lennox. But he did have a great account of himself in that second fight. But nonetheless, Lennox Lewis still beat him. Okay? Now, this is the question. Dillian Whyte was on to something. Lennox Lewis, he didn't fight more competition. again, Evander Holyfield has a better resume because he fought more people. You got to remember Riddick Bowe because, Riddick Bowe, Michael Moore, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, he fought everyone, and Lennox Lewis twice. Andy Ruiz, fought Andy Ruiz 3 times, okay? And then that was when he was way past his prime, when he was just grueling in his career. And people were like, dude, what are you really doing? We know you're a warrior. We get it. We know you have done that. So Lennox Lewis, has he done more? Yes, he's done more. Okay. But to say because Lennox Lewis beat him doesn't mean that Lennox Lewis is better than him on a higher standard. A lot of people think that because Lennox Lewis beat Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis is regarded better than Evander Holyfield. Well, Lennox Lewis didn't have the career Evander Holyfield had. On top of he was a guy that moved up in weight. Okay, he was a cruiserweight moving up, and a lot of people didn't think he could do what he did, and he did things that he didn't supposed to do. But if you look at that in terms of someone like Manny Pacquiao was praised for things like that, right? But then Dillian Whyte is praising Evander Holyfield for that, but now Alexander Usyk is trying to do the same thing. He's not giving him any credit. So the question is, will Dillian Whyte give Alexander Usyk the same credit that he gave Evander Holyfield for doing the same thing that Alexander Usyk is trying to do? And in fact, Alexander Usyk wants to be more like Evander Holyfield. So it's one of those things, man, where White, I think he's on to something with that, but Lennox beat Holyfield. It just happened past his prime or whatnot. Lennox beat Mike Tyson. But other than that, I think what hurt Lennox's career, honestly, was the Vitaly Klitschko fight. I have to add that in there because if we're looking and we're talking about legacy, because this is all this is. These guys are not fighting no more. It's what they've done. And I think Lennox Lewis, if he would have fought Vitaly Klitschko, due to how that fight was stopped, he would have got much more respect. Even if he would have got knocked out, he would have got much more respect for taking that second chance against someone that dangerous. Okay, and because it didn't, I think a lot of people shunned Lennox Lewis. That's why Lennox Lewis doesn't get the respect he deserves today. Okay, but anyway, that's my counterpunch on Dillian Whyte's comments. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunch. Peace.